Today I am going to tell you about the ancient Sumerian creation myth. This is the tablet the ancient Sumerian creation myth was written on, the Eridu Genesis. Unfortunately, the myth is about as fractured as the tablet. The first part of the myth is missing, but it comes to in the second part of the myth. Sumer has been created by the gods. Humans have been created by the gods. The humans are prospering. Unfortunately, the third part of the myth is lost. But the fourth part of the myth remains and is in stark contrast to the second part. The gods have decided not to save humans from the impending flood. And unfortunately, for anyone looking for a good ending, the fifth and final part of the myth is missing as well. Luckily, we can use some supplemental Sumerian myths along with some myths from religions around the same geographical area to supplement the missing parts of the Eridu Genesis. Using the supplemental Sumerian myths and by using Babylonian religion, which is heavily influenced by the Sumerian religion, we can piece together the missing parts of the Sumerian creation myth and get a plausible explanation of what happened. Piecing these parts together, we can find out that the gods created Earth, and the first place they created was Sumer. The second part of the myth still stays the same. The third part of the myth, however, is where things start getting interesting. The water god had found out that humans were growing too fast and wanted to introduce a plague to stop them from growing at such an exponential speed. The plague god, however, denied the water god's request to introduce a plague. The water god decided then to just send in a flood. This is why in the third part, the gods have decided not to save the humans from the impending flood. But in the fifth part, we learn that the gods chose a human hero to make a boat and to save humanity so they're not completely wiped out from the flood. And that, using the supplemental myths and the Babylonian religion, pieced together with the Eridu Genesis, is the Sumerian creation myth. Using the Sumerian creation myth, we can analyze human nature in the myth against human nature in real life. In the Sumerian creation myth, humans take a relative backseat in the story. They just take what their gods give them and don't complain very much. One might assume that this is how the Sumerians in real life acted. They just took what their leaders gave them and didn't complain very much. But you'd be sorely mistaken. You see, the Sumerians saw their kings as divine people. So while not a direct comparison as a human and God relationship to a human and king relationship, it gives us something to work with. There was only one man who was ever able to unite all of the Sumerian city-states, Sargon of Akkad. He united all of the Sumerian city-states all throughout Babylon. And according to the myth, you might assume that the citizens of Sargon's empire were peaceful. They took a back seat. They just took what was given to them. But the exact opposite happened. There were revolts constantly, all the way up until the eventual decline of Sargon's empire. The Sumerians weren't peaceful people. They were very, very rebellious and willing to do anything to jeopardize the legitimacy of Sargon's empire. We can also use the Sumerian creation myth to analyze natural phenomena in real life against the myth. Today, we see natural phenomena as just random events. However, in the myth, the Sumerians believed that natural phenomena were the gods trying to slow human population growth. This interpretation of natural phenomena is different than quite a few myths. In many myths, natural phenomena is interpreted as God trying to spite humanity for wronging him. However, in the Sumerian creation myth, it's just the gods acting in what they think the best interest of the humans is. Growing too fast is an issue we face today, and maybe the gods foresaw this and just wanted to make sure it didn't happen. Perhaps if a Sumerian was alive today, he or she would just view this current pandemic as the gods acting in what they thought was in the best interest of humanity.